Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Happy Saturday, or whatever day of the week it is that you're listening to this. Today's story is called How to Be a Fucking Professional. As we discussed in the first chapter, well, I don't know if we did, but let's say we did, the common misconception that most kids have with regard to growing up and becoming an adult is that it will be really fun and great because you just get to do what you want all the time. Whenever my kids propose this to me, I shut them right down. You see, the number one thing that sucks about being an adult is having to have a job. If you don't have a job, you can't afford to do anything good, and if you do have a job, you don't have time to do anything good. It's a lose-lose situation. Unless you're one of the cast of Made in Chelsea, who can invite 6 of your mates to South Africa for 3 weeks in a whim. Bastards. Before I had the job of drawing rude, sweary stick people on the internet, I had many, many different types of jobs. I wanted to earn my own money ever since I had the capacity to. And that started pretty young. Me, my sisters, and a gang of other kids in our street did odd jobs for neighbours, such as leaf collecting and washing cars. We also made horribly sour lemonade and sold it in front sold it from our front gardens, alongside old toys. Then I had paper rounds and various babysitting gigs, and when I was 14, I got my first regular job in the local card shop, where I was paid £1.50 an hour. Yes, even taking into account that it was the 90s, that is remarkably crap. I hoovered the shop and restocked the shelves for 1.5 hours every day after school, for the princely sum of £2.25. It was shite, but beggars can't be choosers, and a beggar I was. Next I worked at a bakery where I had to add up the cost of all the goods in my head with a hangover. I worked early shifts in the 24-hour bottle-filling room in the body shop factory. I would get up at 4 a.m. every day and come home stinking of dewberry and white musk. I worked in the conveyor belt of a hospital kitchen, where every once in a while someone would shout, "Liquid metal!" and I'd have to dub a whole roast dinner in a blender. Oh, liquid meal, not liquid metal. Oh dear. Excuse me, I'm not even going to fix it. I worked in C&A and got a great discount on Clock House, remember that? I worked as a till girl at Safeway and spent all my time obsessing over which of the bag-packing boys I fancied the most. I worked in nursing homes, distributing tea and biscuits and listening to the same stories again and again from lovely, lonely old people who never had any visitors. I worked in many bars and clubs, surreptitiously getting drunk for free and joining the party when I clocked off. My best job ever at a bar in Bournemouth continued to pay me for 6 months after I quit, funding my nights through my final year at university. Couldn't believe my luck. But still, I couldn't wait to become a proper professional. I didn't want to be the dog's body skivvy earning a pittance and cleaning the loos anymore. I wanted to be important and go to meetings in London. I would look at people dashing through the streets with nice bags and lattes and fantasise about how great it would be to be so successful that spending £2.80 a day on coffee was nothing, even though it all adds up to over £1,000 a year. FYI, I used to hate coffee, but even so, I was so jealous of people carrying lattes that I trained myself to like it so I could be part of their winning at life gang. I thought my dream had come true when I finished university and got my first job working in a fancy digital media agency. It was fun, it was an experience, and ultimately is also full of bullshit. Here are a few things I learned along the way. Everyone is faking it. On your first day you feel like a total imposter, but eventually you realise that no one really has a clue what they're doing and everyone is basically winging their way up the career ladder. NB, this is not applicable to medicine, the emergency services, and engineering, I hope. Don't panic if you're introduced to someone sounding way above their station. Either nod and agree, or, if you can, try and spout some gobbledygook that will impress the other person. Remember, they have no idea what your job involves either, so they will be impressed by almost anything you say. Always look busy. The secret to thriving in the workplace is to look incredibly busy and stressed. The advantages of this are twofold. Firstly, you seem passionate and dedicated, and secondly, and more importantly, people are less likely to give you extra work. Try some of the tactics below to give the impression you're working really hard, instead of mostly thinking about what you're going to have for lunch. Open plan offices can make it difficult for a work dodger, or multitasker as I prefer to call it myself. Ideally, seek out a desk that allows you to sit with your back to the wall, and if you can't do that, always have a spreadsheet open that you can quickly maximise when your boss walks past. They're unlikely to be impressed if they see that instead of working on an important pitch, you're doing a BuzzFeed quiz to find out what type of biscuit you are. Every once in a while, go to the toilet for 20 minutes, splash water on your face, and come back pulling a sad face. People will think you've been crying because you're so overloaded with work. They will have no idea that you're actually feeling great because you just cracked a really tricky level in Candy Crush. Voluntary overtime. Confusingly, I also learned that in my industry sector, as in many others, you're expected to come in early and or stay late and work. Get this, for free. I know. Even if you don't have extra work to do, you should still aim to work overtime 2 to 3 times a week to show how committed you are to the company, regardless of whether or not you give a rat's arse. People will think you'd rather be polishing up an important client report than watching location, and that is the key to being a professional. All your colleagues will be doing the same in some sort of misguided game of who can stay the latest chicken. The reality is that you're all simply wasting each other's time. Commuting. The traffic was bad, the train was late, the tube was overcrowded, perhaps you walked and you got soaked through by the rain. The opportunities are endless. People love to complain about their commute. For extra emphasis, try carrying a copy of the Metro under your arm, or even better, your respective trade press or the Financial Times. Then when you get into work, slap it down on your desk in a rather dramatic manner, announcing your arrival. Looking harassed and pissed off with life is key for any successful person. NB, if your commute was fine, try moaning about the office air conditioning. In my time, I saw fistfights almost break out over whether the aircon should be turned on or off. No smelly food. During redundancy threats, you can bet your bottom dollar that Carol in marketing, who heats up her leftover kedgeree, will be top of the list. It's not professional. Stop it. Be very wary of emails. Apart from the odd old staffer informing you of leftover Pret sandwiches in the third floor meeting room, they are mostly bad and contain work. Sometimes it can feel tempting to reply with a curt 2-word response. However, being professional means being polite, helpful, and accommodating, even when you don't want to be. Another tactic is to try sending emails out to colleagues and clients at 5:30 a.m. or 11:47 p.m., copying in your boss. This is an excellent passive-aggressive way of reminding them that they're completely fucking up your work-life balance and should give you a pay rise. Learn how to network. Networking happens at most industry conferences and events, and is basically when a load of miserable people are made to stand in a room together for a 45-minute window, whilst reluctantly taking each other's business cards. Try to avoid morning networking sessions by hiding in the toilets. Afternoon ones are better, as there's usually a bar serving cheap plonk. If you aren't very good at talking to random people about boring work stuff, then try networking with a glass of wine in the corner on your own. Ace performance reviews. Every once in a while you have what is termed a performance review. You have 2 aims, to not get fired and to get a pay rise. Performance reviews are a bit awkward because they usually involve lots of lying. Boss, where would you like to be in 5 years? Me, living in a small hut alone in the Maldives, far away from all you insufferable arseholes. Boss, pardon? Mate, sorry. I mean, I'd like to be here working hard towards a promotion to account director in return for a mediocre pay rise and a shit ton more work. Fabulous. Another particularly cruel element of performance review. I'm going to try that again. Another particularly cruel element of performance reviews is peer feedback, in which your boss gathers anonymous comments from your colleagues and presents them back to you in this sort of fashion. Boss. So, one of your colleagues said that although you're a well-liked member of the team, you're not very proactive. Angrily go back to your desk and try to work out which backstabbing Judas said that. Office nights out. Trying to remain professional and well-respected in the workplace does not mix well with free, unlimited booze, so approach the work socials with caution. Here are a few things I have learned. 1. Jaeger bombs are a bad idea. 2. So is loudly slagging off your colleagues. 3. Jeff from accounts is not attractive. 4. No, you probably weren't invited to go clubbing with the graduates. 5. You don't look sexy when you dance. 6. There is no after party. It's 4 a.m. Go home. 7. Colleagues enjoy nothing more than taking the piss out of you while you try to avoid puking in your desk bin the next day. Going to the toilet. Everybody poos. It's just a normal bodily function. However, you don't want people to know you poo because professional people don't do smelly shits. You have two options. Hold it in all day and then go straight to the toilet for 30 minutes as soon as you get home. This is what my husband does. 2. Actually play a game of toilet roulette and try and spot a gap in between toilet comings and goings in order to make your deposit safely and make a clean getaway. If you do get caught coming out, you will just have to blame it on the person before you. Dealing with millennials. Just when you think you've got to the point where you feel secure in your job and are well respected by your peers and valued by your seniors, young, tech-savvy skateboarding millennials will come in and make you look like shit again. If you start feeling threatened by their massive headphones, use of acronyms you don't understand, and weird food fads, then you're perfectly within your rights to lob staplers at their heads. The end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and press the wee bell notification. And a huge big thank you to all my subscribers, patrons and members. See you next week. Bye bye.